Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. It's the third Friday of the month and that means it's time for another Crafty collaboration with Erin and the Crafty Bunch team. We are working our way through the annual catalog from Stampin' Up, and this is the May 25 to April 26 edition. On page 28 they have these scrapbook templates, and we are going through each one of these templates and creating different layouts for them. We are currently on the fourth one here. Let me bring that up a little closer so you can see it. But as you can see, it's a very simple sketch with one photo spot, maybe some embellishing here and some journaling down here. Now let me show you the papers and the photos that I was thinking about. Since it is a one photo layout, I thought about scrapbooking all those everyday little moments, and I came across this picture in my camera roll. And then when I set it down on my desk, I had these papers out and I thought, aren't these perfect to go with this photo? So that's what I'm going to do. These are some of the papers from the Celebration Sips collection, and I don't have too much of it left. I have been creating a lot with it, but I thought this was perfect with that flower in her hair. And I'm bringing in some of the crushed curry to kind of complement the photos rather than make it all about the flower and the blackberry bliss. All right, so let me clear this off and let me show you kind of the direction that I'm thinking about. Since it is just a one-page layout, I just need one of my mats here. And it's a good thing because I only have one mat. All right, so as I often do, I can start with a base of my white willow cardstock. But then I thought, let's make a frame style layout because I do want to bring in some of this floral paper from that Celebration Sips collection. And so I thought, well, let's just kind of make that a frame style layout. So that will go like that. And I will go ahead and gut this out in the center. I thought I'd bring in my trimmer and just show you how I do that real quickly. You do want a trimmer that has one of these lift up arms. Then I'm going to put the paper at the 1-inch mark, put down the arm. All right, slide my cutter to the center there. Let's get the score blade out of the way. And I'm going to just simply move it up to 1 inch. It's hard to see in this light. And then slide it down to 11 inches. Lift up the arm and then just rotate it 90 degrees and do the same thing. And I will go ahead and do that on all 4 sides. And I do like to start kind of in the center and going up and down to both the 1-inch mark and then stop at the 11-inch mark. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and finish that up and I'll be right back. So I've got that gutted out. I'll just show you the back real quick. See how I've got that piece cut out, and then I trimmed off the willow white to, let's see, 1/2 inch on just 2 of the sides. So that gave me a nice 1/4 inch border all the way around. And then when I gutted out that piece, of course, then I have this piece that I can use for a future project. I'm not going to use that for this layout, but I will have that again for a future project. All right, so now let's look at the sketch again. The sketch has this banner piece and the photo. So that's what I want to work on next. And for the banner, I wanted to use this paper because I just thought it was perfect with this photo. But I want to trim it down a little, not as wide as the photo. I want it to be smaller than the photo. So I'm going to trim that down a little bit. But to make that photo stand out from the background a little bit, because it is busy, but because the photo's not too busy, it works, but I want it to pop out a little bit more. So let's bring in some of this pattern paper from the Celebratory Sips collection. It's kind of like a secret C pattern paper. It's got a real subtle print to it. So we'll just put a real thin border around that. I think that will work. And remember how I talked about the crushed curry? Because that is actually one of the colors in this collection. And I think if I mount the Secret C, just a little bit of the crushed curry, that will really help pop the photos off of that paper. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those and get those matted, and then I'll be right back to show you. All right, so I've got it cut down to 5.5, and I thought that gave me enough overlap on the side, and I think I'm going to put it down from the top a little bit like that. All right, so now I need to know, where do I want to cut off the banner? How long do I want it to be? Well, let's see. Here's a very scientific method. I'm just going to kind of put my finger where I think I want it, as long as I want it to be. I'm going to make a pencil mark right there. All right. And I'm going to go trim that off with my trimmer and cut the banner shape. To cut the banner, you simply fold your paper. I should say you bend it. You don't, because you're not going to crease it. And then you're going to cut it at an angle. And as you will see, I did it the wrong way. Oops. Not to worry. We'll just try that again. And this time cut at an angle up from those 2 points up to the bend in your paper. And then when you open it up, you have your banner shape. Now, not to worry, to make it a little bit longer, the original size that I wanted, I just cut the pattern paper apart in the center, the part that's going to be under the photo, so you won't see where that is split into 2 pieces. I was just showing you there, I had a couple leftover pieces from the sticker sheet from the celebratory sips. I cut that little sticker border in half and put kind of like a little faux stitched banner up along the top. I thought this stamp set from the Happy Hibiscus stamp set and 3D embossing folder went really well with that little hibiscus flower in her hair. And when I opened it up, I was pleasantly surprised to see that I already had some shapes stamped and cut from a previous project that I did. So I'm just starting to build the banner clusters up in the upper left corner. And it had that circle shape, and I thought I would try to use that up there. I do fiddle with that a little bit. I decided I didn't like the orange, so let's try this grape color. I think that's gorgeous grape. And I cut that out of there, and I thought, well, you'll see. In a while, you'll see. I end up not using that at all. And then the Happy Hibiscus also had these little die-cut tiny hibiscus flowers. So I cut those out of the Blackberry Bliss because I did want to match the flower in her hair just a little bit. So I cut several of those out, and there's a larger one and a smaller one. And I just layered them up together. And you see I take a shaping tool. It's got a like a ball at the end, and press down in the center of the flower on my soft piercing mat, and it does 2 things. I've got it creases the flower and pops it up and gives it a little dimension, while also adhering the 2 pieces together at the same time. So I do go ahead and I made, I think, 4 of these. I was originally going to put a couple in each cluster, but in the long run, you'll see I end up using just 1 of these little flower pieces. But not to worry, I will put them back in the stamp case and use them again for a future project. Aren't they so cute? All right, let's clear that up and let's look at that title. The title I did have from ephemera pack that I have in my stash. I end up changing that as well. As you see here, I took out that purple circle and I replaced it with one of the pink hibiscus flowers that I already had stamped and cut. Now it's time to work on the journaling area, and to make that journaling and the stamp titles pop out just a little bit, I am going to take my blending brush, and I believe that was crushed curry, and I'm going to ink that up quite a lot. on my brush, but you see I tap it off a little bit on the scratch paper first so I don't get that big blob in the middle. And I'm just going over the area where I want to put my journaling and sponging that around. And you see that I go in both directions and feathering it out more and more as I go along. And to bring in another little added dimension, I bring in the matching crushed curry Stampin' Right marker, and with the brush tip of the marker, I'm just flicking it from the inside of the cap, and that just flicks a little bit of that ink around that sponge cloud looking area. Gives it a little bit more texture and dimension. Now you see here I took and I stamped the You Make Me Smile from that Happy Hibiscus stamp set on some scratch paper, and I just put it down there to test out where I wanted the stamp before I actually went and stamped on my layout. And you may notice that I did bring in the journaling back in, and for the journaling this time I cut it on my, or excuse me, print it. Sorry, can't talk. I opened up a Word document program, and I do use my iPad, so it is the oh, I always forget. It's not the notes. It's the one with the pen on the top. Anyway, it's the word processing program. I opened up the text box, printed what I wanted, and then I set the line spacing to 1.25, and then that way I can cut them apart into the little strips. So then you saw me there doing the stamping of the You Make Me Smile. I've got the cluster. I brought in another one of those pink hibiscus flowers, a little bit of a stamp, a lemon. That's a sticker sheet from the celebratory can't talk, celebratory sips collection. And you see I did end up using one of those little Blackberry Bliss hibiscus flowers in that cluster. And then down here on the bottom right, I had a little bit left over from that little strip I put on the top of the banner shape, and I thought that just kind of helped balance it out on the bottom. And then I just put the date on top of that. Now you know me, you know we're not done. We're going to bring in some of the gems, and these are the iridescent pearls, I think. And I am going to use my pickup tool then and add those to each of the clusters. And I did put the smallest one in the center of that hibiscus flower. And we use our pickup tool and the putty end, and remember it's a pushing motion. You're with the gems, you kind of push it off that acetate and put it around in each of the clusters. If you're enjoying this video, please be sure to go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so you never miss another one of my crafty videos. I sure do appreciate you stopping by each week to visit with me, and I will hold that up so you can see each of those clusters. And don't forget, all the supplies and products that I used will be linked down below in the description box. So don't forget to go and check those out and get some of the products for yourself. Thanks for stopping by. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye-bye.